Hi there, welcome to this refurbishment project where we're bringing this lovely Keil Kraft Bantam from the 1950s back to life. Now, the original Keil Kraft Bantam was a 39-inch wingspan free flight model. This is an enlarged model that is a 60-inch wingspan, and when I was given it a few weeks back, it just had a single channel, the rudder. Now it's going to be two channel, so we're going to have the rudder and an elevator, just to make it that little bit more versatile. Now this is a lovely design, I really like it, and I just love this humpback on here and the open cockpit. Just think it looks really nice. Now, as I said, I was given this and it was in quite a poor condition, and I've been refurbishing this over the last few weeks, and you can see we're almost on the home stretch now. I can almost taste the finish line. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be covering the fuselage in a 38 micron laminating film. And the reason we're doing that is because once we've done that, we're going to put tissue on the top, exactly the same technique as we've done on the wings here. Now the laminating film gives the finish some strength and durability. It's a lot harder to poke holes in it, and just makes it a lot more durable. Whereas the tissue that we put on the top still gives it this lovely vintage kind of look, which is what we really want to go for. So it's the best of both worlds. We've got strength and durability and appearance. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. Now I'll put this away in a second, nice and safely. So we're going to be using this, as I said, 38 micron laminating film, and it comes in, I think it's about a 320 millimeter wide roll. You can get it in wider rolls, I have got a larger roll. And we've got a shiny side, which is the out facing side, and we've got a matte side. Now the matte side is matte because it's got a heat sensitive glue on it, so it sort of responds like a normal kind of polyester type covering film. I think they're polyester, like Oracover and solar film, that kind of stuff, where we can stick it on with heat and then we can shrink it. And to do that, we're going to be using my Prolux digital heating iron. I love this iron, I use it all the time, and I have been for the last 5 or 6 years since I got it. It's digital, so we've got precise temperature control, and we're going to be putting the film on at about 110, sticking it all down, then once it's stuck down we'll shrink it at about 150, something like that. So I'll switch the iron on, and one of the things I love in a workshop is lots of towels. You'll hear, if you've watched my videos before, you'll know I always say, oh yeah, towels, great to have towels. And it is, because we're going to lie this on its side in a minute, and it's good to have a towel because it stops it sliding around, just gives it a little bit more control of what you're doing. And if you want to, you can always put a towel on top of it just to give it that extra stability. Now this towel I'm putting here, and I'm just going to put my hot iron on it like that. I can just put it down without even thinking about it. I don't even need to look where it's going. So is there anything else I need to say? Oh, we need good sharp scalpel blades for this, and that's about it really. So I will get the wing put away nice and safely, and we'll get this set up, and we'll see how we're going to get on with the covering. And just to say, I think I'm going to cover this, I'm going to try and cover it in 4 pieces. We're going to do the main side, so 1, 2, and then 3, 4. Now there's a few compound curves in this fuselage, but I'm hoping, like I say, we can do it in 2 pieces. We'll see. With fuselages like this, and often with wings, it's very difficult to predict how it's going to go around some of these curves and how you're going to end up, but we'll see. Right, well, I've got a clamp here just holding this end nice and steady on the landing gear so it doesn't rock too much. Now I'm going to be covering the details of how I'm doing this, but if you want to see it in more detail, have a look at the wing covering, and there'll be a lot of information in there that isn't perhaps covered here. So, but I am going to show the details because doing the fuselage is a different beast. And I think what I'm going to do is use this straight crutch here that goes through the fuselage, and I'm going to stick the film down either end and along the crutch, and then I'm going to try and take it top and bottom. We've got a few obstacles in the way. We haven't got the wing banding dowels here, which will help us. So I will start to get this on, and we need to make sure we've got enough top and bottom. Yeah, absolutely plenty. We've got that dowel there that is already starting to irritate me. So what I'm going to do is let's have a look. Okay, I'm going to cut a slot here now so we can just thread that over, and hopefully that will be enough. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, pull that down nice and tight onto there and start to get this stuck down. And because we've got the slot here, I'm going to do that bit first. And I've got the temperature of 113 degrees Celsius or centigrade, and I'm going to get that stuck down. Now, one of the things that we want to do when sticking this down is to avoid getting the film hot where we're not sticking it. So, for example, if we were to come like this, the iron would be heating up this film, and we're not sticking it, we're just shrinking it, which isn't a good thing to do, because we want to have all that shrinkage capacity left for when we actually want to do some shrinking. So if I get this stuck around here, there we go, and now I'm going to come right to this end and check we've got enough. Yeah, and we're going to pull that nice and tight. Need to make sure that yep, that looks about right, and I'll just stick that down. Now, once we've got this stuck down, it would be very tempting just to wipe down there and stick all of it, but if we do, we'll end up with a big crease down there as it pushes the film in front of it. So it's much better at this stage just to go along and stick it in little bits like this. So I'm going to get on now and stick all this down, and then we'll have a look at pulling it either way. Right, well, we're all stuck down along that central crutch there. I did increase the temperature up to about 15 degrees C. Now what I've got to do is cope with this support for the wing strut here. So I just need to pull this up tight, put a slit in it, and then thread the film around it. Now I'm going to bring that up like that first, and then we'll come along. We need to just make sure we can get this nice and tight, and I'll put a slot there as well. Just get that there. Right, there, we've got that around there now, so we can pull that tight, and you can see how that is looking quite nice. So I'm just going to stick that down. I'm going to come in from the top angle here, because as I said earlier, if I go like that, I'm going to be shrinking this, and we don't want to do any of that shrinking just yet. Now this is pulling here, which is a little bit concerning, something to do with compound curves, I believe, but we'll deal with that in a bit. We'll just deal with this first section first, and I don't know whether my lead's long enough. Yep, I think we'll be okay. Hopefully my head's not in the camera. And we'll just stick this down a little bit at the moment. We won't go mad, just in case we need to lift it up, just to relieve a little bit of pressure somewhere else. So Yeah, that's better. Right. Actually, I am sticking it down quite well, because I think that'll be fine. So before we pull that any more, what we'll do is we'll work our way along here, and I think that is going to be absolutely fine. You can see that coming nice and taut. So I'm going to carry on working on this, working my way down the back end, and we'll have a look in a bit once we've got some more of this done. Actually, it's worth just making the point at this stage that I am just sticking it around the film, around the edges. I don't want to start sticking it on all of the stringers, because it might be that some bits are really tight and other bits are baggy. Well, if that's the case, shrinkage of the tight ones will help get rid of some of the bag out if we don't compartmentalise it. But if we compartmentalise it, we're kind of restricting ourselves to just shrinking those individual cells, which isn't going to help us in the long run. So you can see I've just relieved that a little bit there around the cockpit. Do that a little bit more, and that has really helped. So right, I just wanted to make that point really, because I think it's quite an important aspect. Right, another point worth making. I've got that front done now, and that's looking nice. I've trimmed it down there. This is ready to lap under and that to be trimmed. But I'm working on this section. Because of this compound curve, we are not going to get this tight. We are going to have some baggy film, some wrinkles. Now, we could have all the wrinkles up here like this. We could have all the wrinkles down here. But what I'm doing is I'm spreading the wrinkles out. So we've got a little bit of wrinkle there. I'm going to just pull this down so we've got a little bit of wrinkle there, a little bit of wrinkle there, and a little bit of wrinkle there. And then hopefully with the wrinkles spread all over this section, it'll be easier to shrink than if we've got just a great big baggy section here. So that is the cunning plan. It has worked before, but isn't guaranteed. But the thing about this film is it comes in 150-metre rolls. Now, if we do make a mess, we can just pull it off and start again. Not that I want to waste film, waste plastic, waste money, whatever, but it's not as catastrophic. You can see that's there, that's looking quite nice. It's not as catastrophic as if you were covering with something like Oracover, which is a lot more expensive. So we've got that sealed along the top, and now we'll just work down on this bit. And you know, I might even try and do the fin as well. I could just move the camera around a little bit, and I'm going to see if I can just do this all in one piece, but we'll see. If we have to join it, it's fine, because you'll hardly notice the joins. Right, well, I've done all I can do with it lying on the side, so I'm going to remove my clamp, and we are going to stand it up, and let's have a look. Yeah, that'll be okay, I think. And now I'm just going to work on this and make sure all the edges are nicely stuck down. Right, well, we've almost got this side done, and there's just a few things we need to do to make sure that we're okay to carry on the next side. Now, on the turtle deck here, I brought it over, I've stuck it on the top, I brought it to this stringer here, cut it, and now I've lapped it down there so it's nice and secure on that side of the keel. I don't know whether that shows up. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to shrink this bit and just take out those wrinkles just along that top edge. I'm not going to touch this, but I'm just going to make that a better surface for when we come and lap the next side onto this, because this is just going to attach along this top here, I think. Now, I don't know how much I'll shrink down, I'll see how it goes. I just want to take the wrinkles out this very top section. Right, so we're up to, what, 145 degrees C now. and we're just going to go along and try and shrink this bit. Need to be very careful just around here because we don't want it to pull off. So I probably won't do a lot just there. You can see that's starting to shrink now, and as it shrinks it goes clear. And if you remember, this is the section where we gathered all the or we spaced out all the wrinkles to try and get out the bagginess instead of having just one big wrinkle. Now what we can do if we want is just bump the iron up, and I will just bump the iron up to 160 just to work on that one a little bit. While that's warming up, I'll just do this here. Now this doesn't need to be perfect, I just want to get the bulk of the wrinkles out so that when we come to put on the other side on the top, it's not going on top of wrinkles. See, now I think that will come out once we oh, that's coming out now, isn't it? Just this little bit here to do, and yeah, it's still coming up to 160. While that's heating up, we'll just have a go at stretching this round. You just need a really hot iron and just gently pull it. There we go. And if we end up with a little wrinkle in it, this is really thin film, 38 micron, and we're not going to notice it. There you see, that's just pulled around that. And covering this laminating film does stretch really well. So we can see we've done that now, and we can just run a scalpel along there, and we'll do exactly the same when we do the other side. Right, now this is 163, so it might be that we have to get the hot air gun on this little bit later. Or it might be that we need to shrink the rest of it. To be honest, I'm going to leave it at that, because I think when we shrink a lot of this, it'll help pull that out, and I don't think it's really helpful to keep working on this at this stage. So that's fine. And right, we need to do the underside now, and that will be exactly the same process. You can see the towels here holding everything together, and so we want to cut it on this line, so this is the bit we want to shrink, and we'll start here. Right, well, I've now got this side, well, I was going to say finished. It's covered, it's not shrunk, except for some of the bits. I've also done the underside here, and actually I've changed my mind on this. I think I'm going to do a seam that will span 2 stringers so that it's a lot more secure, because if I do it just on the one thin stringer, it might pull loose and you won't see it under there, and the seams don't really show up that much, so that'll be fine. The only bit I haven't trimmed, I've trimmed around the wings here. The only thing I haven't trimmed is this here, because essentially there's no need to, but I might want to just hold that while I shrink some of it, so I've left it on. I've carried this up and over that bit of balsa there, and the bit that comes up I'll just finish on the edge here, or just overlap it a bit. I thought better than a seam right down the middle where it's going to be really visible. So I'm waiting for my iron to cool down now, and then I'll get the other side on and we'll have a look, see what it looks like. Right, well, I've now got the film on both sides, and we managed to do it in 2 pieces, which was really good. It's gone on really well. There's the odd baggy bit, the odd wrinkle, but nothing that I'm really concerned about, and I think it will shrink out quite nicely. So I'm going to get this set up on the bench and start shrinking it. It'll be nice to get this done and start getting that tissue on. Right, well, I've bumped the iron up to 150 degrees C. It's still just climbing, it's almost there now. So what I'm going to do is just go round and make sure that it's stuck nice and firmly around the edges before we start shrinking this. And I said earlier about not sliding along with the iron because you can get wrinkles. When it's stuck down like this, it's not so bad. You can go along and just slide along those edges to make sure they're well fastened. It's just when you're sticking it down for that first time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move the iron nice and gently over these areas, and they should tighten up, and as it shrinks you can see it going nice and clear. Now, one of the things about this film is that it shrinks with the heat, but it also contracts as it cools down. So sometimes you get a little bit of a wrinkle when you've got the heat on it and you think, well, that's not going. If you just take the iron off and just wait for a second, you can see it then just disappear as the film cools down and contracts. Now that's going on really nicely, and what I'm going to do now is just work my way along. I'm hardly touching the film. I'm keeping it really light, because at this stage the less we can stick it to these stringers the better, because I said this earlier, if we've got a little bit of bag here but this is quite tight before we start shrinking, then hopefully by shrinking this bit it will help take the bag out there, but that won't happen if we've stuck it to a stringer. So the lighter we can touch this as we're shrinking it, I mean, if we've got something really difficult we can bump the heat up, or we could use the hot air gun. The only problem, I mean, the hot air gun does a nice job, but there's always a problem, a potential to blow a hole in it and cause some damage. Now, I have done that in the past, just a little thin, small pinhole, which is fine, and I've just left. You just cover it with tissue and you don't even notice it. But sometimes it can be a bit more catastrophic. So anyway, I'm going to carry on now, just shrinking all of this, and we'll have a look at that when it's all nicely done. There we go, nicely done. Right, a couple of things worth mentioning. You can see there's some humidity in here. That's fine, it'll disappear. It's just because we've heated up the balsa. The other thing is we've got a kind of a valley here, if you like, where the shrinking of the film has just kind of lifted it off it, so it's loose there. It's still tight there, but it's loose there, and it's just coming away. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to put a cut in that, and I'm going to, same here, it's loose there now. I don't know whether that shows up on the camera, and loose there. And what I'm going to do again is just put a slit in. And now what I can do is just seal down those two edges. I mean, yeah, there we go. We might not have had this issue if we'd done them separately, but it doesn't matter. It's we've still got a nice secure join there now. There we go. That's not lifting up at all now. Right, well, look at that. I am really pleased with that. This has shrunk absolutely lovely. All those wrinkles in the turtle deck here have come out, and it's looking really nice. Hopefully you can see that. I mostly used the iron, but I did use the heat gun just on this back portion here. And I realised after I'd done it I should have filmed it. So I did just a little bit of film you'll have seen showing me shrinking the tail plane. And I just wanted to show the technique, how you have to keep it really moving and just not too much heat. And that worked really nicely. So anyway, So nice to get this done and see it starting to take shape. And we're going to pull this video to a close now. And in the next video, well, you've guessed it, we're going to be putting on the tissue. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I haven't really thought about the design. I'm obviously going to use the blue and the green that I've used on the wings, but I'm not sure how that's going to materialize. So anyway, please come back and see the next video where we start the covering. And I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, and I'll try and put some links in the description below to some other covering videos with laminating fill that you might find helpful and useful. Thanks very much for watching.